Good morning, everyone. As you're coming in, make sure to fill in. Don't hang out on the wings like let's all be friends, right? Come on in, come on in. We'll get started soon. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, welcome to 2026 Arts Day. First, I'd like to take a moment to open today's event with a simple but humble statement of gratitude and acknowledgement. On behalf of Maryland Citizens for the Arts, we'd like to acknowledge that we hold space in Maryland across the traditional lands of the Assateague, Choptank, Piscataway, Nanticoke, and Susquehanna peoples who have stewarded it through the generations. MCA acknowledges that to make this a more meaningful practice, we respectfully ask you to learn more about the nations that have continued to live in Maryland. More resources can be found following the QR code in our program book. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations worldwide who contributed their energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes, hoping for a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. We acknowledge we are all standing on ancestral lands and honor the thousands of enslaved Africans whose lives were physically and spiritually stolen. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. MCA humbly asks that we all continue our shared responsibility of understanding our roles in liberation, reconciliation, and decolonization through our practices in work and action. Thank you. Well, good morning again. It's so awesome. I love this day. My name's Nicholas Cohen. I'm the Executive Director of Maryland Citizens for the Arts. Thank you so much, and welcome to all of you to Maryland Arts Day. Again, I know today's kind of chilly, but there's no snow. There's snow on the ground, but it was hopefully easy to get here. I was a little worried last week that we were going to get more snow this week, but we didn't. So you guys are all here, which is great. And we're going to melt some more of that snow because we bring the heat for Arts Day, right? That's right. So today we're using the hashtag MDArtsDay 2026. So unlike usual events where they're like, please silence your cell phones and put your phones in your pockets, we don't do that here. We ask you to put your phones on blast. Let's get pictures up here, post, get on your socials, and let people know you're here. And the real powerful part of this, hopefully you know your lawmakers' hashtags. If you don't, come see me after the show because you should by now. Make sure you're tagging your lawmakers. Let them know you're here and you're about to see them in 2 hours. So it's a great way to connect with all those folks. So please do that. Okay, we're going to jump around a bit because we're supposed to have some lawmakers here today, but as usual, there's committees going on, there's press conferences. So I'm hoping yet that we will get some folks, and we have some honored guests here as well, but I'll get back to it. That said, speaking of a very, very honored guest, many of us know Comptroller Learman both in her current position and as a former delegate for Baltimore. Her unwavering support of the arts and her deep understanding and appreciation of its importance within the state economy is without question. And it's wonderful to have her continued support. So please put your hands together. I'd like to welcome the Comptroller, Brooke Learman, up to the stage.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, always overwhelming to start a day next to a big picture of yourself. Good morning. It is such a pleasure to be here with all of you. Even the Buddhist monks are here for you today. It is so wonderful. There is some special synergy about it being Arts Day and having the Buddhist monks in town. What a special thing. It is so great to be here. Thank you, Nicholas, for all of your leadership. And thank you all for all of your leadership. You are leaders in the state and in your communities, and the arts in Maryland would not be what they are without you. So now more than ever, I think, the arts are such an essential part of reminding ourselves of what we are, but also what we aspire to be. So thank you for your diligence. As Nicholas said, and as you can read right here, I'm the Comptroller of Maryland. I am delighted to be here. Prior to this, loved serving as a delegate representing Baltimore City for 8 years. And, over that time, over my time in public service and as a, Marylander, I have seen our communities grow. I've watched how our policy decisions that we make really turn into impact on the ground. And I have seen how in Maryland, a strong state is a creative state, one where the arts aren't just celebrated, but elevated. When I first took office as comptroller, we set a new vision in our agency to work in partnership to create a state that is more equitable, that is more resilient, and that is more prosperous, so that every Marylander can reach their full potential. That vision, as you all know, cannot be fulfilled without the arts. The arts help us to see one another, to see ourselves, and to imagine what life can be. They connect us, they challenge us, and they inspire us to do what we may have once thought was impossible. And I think we need that impact today more than ever. When I look across our state and our nation, I see a moment that we must meet. I see expanding inequality, a rising cost of living, and a shift toward division that weakens us all. And I know that in this moment, we have to elevate the things that connect us. And sometimes we have to remind one another about how we are connected. We have to bring people together to build empathy and to celebrate empathy. And we have to think creatively about what comes next. And the arts do all of these things in all of their many varieties and forms. Here in Maryland as well, the arts drive our economy, right? The arts sector drives more than $12 billion in economic impact per year, supports 80,000 jobs, and contributes 3% of our state's GDP. Every dollar spent by the Maryland State Arts Council triggers at least $1.86 in economic activity statewide. Yes, it's important stuff. So not only do the arts enhance our communities and inspire us, but they help us become more economically resilient. That impact and that potential is why the arts will always have my support. And as delegate, I was so proud to work with you to persist for a few years and finally pass legislation to strengthen our arts community through the Maryland Capital Arts Program. And now, from my seat on the Board of Public Works, I get to see that state funding come through and approve it again. At the BPW, we approve major state spending, and I love supporting projects that uplift our creative communities, whether through park enhancements that feature murals or funding for new developments incorporating the arts. And when I took office as comptroller, some of you know, I created a new initiative. We have a beautiful treasury building in Maryland, right down the block. It's got a statue of Louis Goldstein outside. God bless y'all real good, as he used to say. And inside now, we have painted our long hallway white, the better to exhibit beautiful pieces of art from around the state of Maryland. Right now, just 2 days ago, installed a new exhibit from the Frederick Arts Council celebrating their anniversary. So we are so pleased to have it. I just snapped a picture on my phone. There is, in addition to beautiful art hanging on the walls, right when I walk in, greeting everybody who gets on our elevator and walking in, is a lovely statue of Mayor Ron Young. So I just snapped a picture for Senator Lewis Young to send it to her. But this artwork and these art shows, it's about celebrating our Maryland artists. It's also sometimes about making everyone a little money because people do buy works off of our hallways sometimes. But it's also a way to remind us that it's a public building and a public space. And our team members, the 600 employees that we have in Annapolis, they love this art. They come and they see it on their lunch break. We've heard so many comments over the past 3 years about how grateful our team members are that we take time to create a place of beauty in the places that folks work. And so it just means so much to them. And all of you have a role to play in all of this work that we do, advocating and engaging in our communities across the state to ensure that arts have a place in our schools, in our public life, and forever in society. So I will end where I began with a thank you. By being here, by braving the traffic and making it to Annapolis, and by your continual work in your communities each and every day, you are showing that in Maryland, the arts are more than one option. And they are more than an option. They are a necessity. And to Maryland's Citizens for the Arts, Nicholas and the whole team, thank you for organizing us. To Stephen and the State Arts Council, thank you for lifting us up. Thank you, all of you, for speaking up. Thank you for organizing this coalition with the power and the context necessary for progress. One of my core values is that I fundamentally believe we all do better when we all do better. And here in Maryland, we all do better when everyone has access to the arts. As the Buddhist saying goes, art gives the soul's feelings voice and form. Thank you for helping all of our souls to have voice and form in Maryland. And onwards. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
But you know, the comptroller's office always asks me, like, oh, can we get talking points? And I'm like, she doesn't need them. And really, we're truly blessed in this state to have lawmakers and elected officials like the comptroller who come up and say words from the heart, right? That's not a stump speech. Like, she deeply believes in that work. And I just wanted to add, when I was relatively new at this job with Maryland Citizens for the Arts, I met, at that time, Delegate Learman, and I remember having this conversation with her in her office, and we were talking about, honestly, the struggles of small arts organizations throughout the state to get access to capital. I was like, this is a huge issue. And the delegate at the time was like, well, let's fix it. And I love that, lawmakers that say, hey, let's find a way to fix this. And so with the delegate's help, and who is now Congresswoman Sarah Elfreth, at the time senator, we came together and we formed this sort of committee that spoke to many of you in this audience, and we created this bill that took 3 years to pass, but we passed it. And as the comptroller now said, she sees the State Arts Council, who runs this Arts Capital program, invest capital money just for us, just for the arts throughout Maryland. So that's a really powerful statement to the work that all of you do. That's where this really comes in, right? Coming to Arts Day, and in the afternoon when you go to those lawmakers, you never know who the next comptroller is or the next governor is going to be. You might be speaking to them in that moment, and it will resonate with them, just like it has clearly with the comptroller. So just a piece of this is why this is so important. Okay, still waiting on more lawmakers. Oh, I do. Oh, there we go. Good. We're going to go back. So speaking of incredible lawmakers that totally understand the arts, and I'll say this, lawmakers also really believe in bringing back power to the individual artists. So this year, and we'll get into bills and stuff when we get to budget realities, but we are working on a bill to provide basically rights and bringing rights back to public artists. And it's wonderful to work with lawmakers that believe deeply in this and put in those bills to do so. And so I'd like to welcome up Delegate Elizabeth Embry, who is sponsoring one of these bills and is a great arts advocate.
This is one of my favorite days during session is Arts Day, so thank you for being here. It makes such a difference. I know you know that. You've had so many wins over the years, so many battles, but it really does make a difference. I am so lucky to work with Nicholas and many others on a bill that we got through the House last year, and we're hoping to get it all the way through this year. Senator Kagan is cross-filing it. But as Nicholas said, it's about returning rights to artists that they have, preserving rights, I would say. So currently there are agencies and localities that are requiring artists, when they take on public artwork commissioned by an agency that receives state funds, they're requiring the artists to sign away all of their intellectual property rights, so rights under VARA, in order to even be allowed to do the work. So this bill would prevent that. it doesn't strip negotiating rights away from the artist, but it says it can't be a condition. So it's just preserving rights that already exist that are so important. I represent a district in Baltimore City. I went to a high school, public high school, Baltimore City College, and public art is missing. It just disappears in Baltimore City. I'm sure that happens in other places around the state. But giving artists or allowing artists to hold on to their rights gives them a voice in preserving the art. And I don't know if she's here, but my mother, Marianne Mears, is the reason I am such a good advocate, for two reasons. One is growing up understanding what public art means and what being a public artist means, and also knowing how to be a good advocate. So those are two qualities that I hope I've inherited a little bit from her and from watching her. So just so grateful for her and for her help on this bill and others that I've worked on. But again, just thank you for being here. It's an honor to work with you, and please come to me if there's anything I can do in any capacity, but especially in the arts. Thank you so much.
All right, well, I'm excited we have yet another wonderful delegate. This delegate it really serves on a critical subcommittee for us in the Appropriations Committee, Education and Economic Development. And through the years, Stephanie Smith has been such an incredible advocate, both for Baltimore City, but for the entire state. So please welcome Delegate Stephanie Smith.
Good morning. I'm just so happy to be with all of you. Again, my name is Stephanie Smith. I proudly represent the 45th District in Baltimore, East Baltimore, Northeast Baltimore City, and I also serve on Appropriations, where I chair Education and Economic Development. And when you think about art, you're squarely in the intersection of education and economic development across the state. And so one of the things that I oversee are the funding for the state's arts councils, and then also certain arts legislation will come to my subcommittee because of that jurisdiction. Some of you may know that not too long ago, when the BSO was performing here, I had an opportunity to be a guest conductor right there, and I wasn't too shabby, I have to say. My flute playing days were from 8th grade, but I got right back in there. And so, I love the arts. Quite frankly, I tell everyone, if I wasn't doing what I was doing, I would probably be acting and singing, because those are things that I love to do and continue to do as often as I can. And so for me, protecting arts funding, protecting the formula that protects arts funding is really, really important. There are so many things that help keep us alive, but I always tell people, you don't simply want to be alive, you want to thrive. And when I think about the arts, art is what makes life worth living. Because you could just simply be alive, but what would it be like without music? What would it be like without art, visual art? What would it be like without playwrights and books? What would life be like if you only were just eating, sleeping, and doing it all over again? Art makes life worth living. And I do think that at a time where our world is very complicated and our country is very complicated, this is not the time to marginalize art. It's a time to lean into art. It's a time to learn from art. Because quite frankly, as you see efforts to erase history, art's not far behind, and it's sometimes right parallel to the erasure some people want to see of culture and the vibrancy and the diversity of what makes us human. And so I want to say to all of you, thank you for dedicating your life to art. It is not always easy to dedicate your life to art, and I know that you do it because you feel alive, and you wouldn't be living your life's purpose if you weren't either living art or helping others to cultivate their skills through art. So I just want to say a personal thank you for your commitment to your sector, and I just want to let you know I see it as education and economic development, and I'll do whatever I can to protect the access you have to the resources you need. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Delegate Smith. And again, remember last year, we were up here, our funding formula is under threat, all that work. I mean, we just had a lawmaker quote the importance of that funding formula. So again, our work, our advocacy, that's in action. That's what it does. So wonderful. And I was going to say, I think the Senate President is trying to make his way over, and he is. The monks, I know, are shutting down roads, but I'll just please welcome Senate President Bill Ferguson.
Good morning. What a pleasure to be here with you all today. I apologize for being a bit late. We have a really, it's a very, very exciting moment today with the Monks for Peace we're going to be visiting, which is, yes, certainly worthy of a clap. There. I think it's a story in and of itself that I think in a time of division and challenge and questioning about what the future looks like and where we are all headed, it's pretty remarkable and not surprising from my perspective to see that a group of monks who are just simply walking for peace can garner such attention and passion and love. It's because I think that's what we're all sort of seeking. We're all trying to find a way forward in this moment where things are a little bit gloomy. In fact, I just saw, and I don't want to start on such a low note, but I think it's really important, particularly for this audience, that the AP just released a Gallup poll yesterday that said that for the first time in Gallup's history, we've seen the lowest level of optimism about the future in the United States. And in all other times over decades where you have seen or this poll has been taken, there often had been an inverse relationship between the present and the future, and political parties and political affiliation often tracked very closely and correlated with the state and sense of the future. But what they said is that in the last year, in 2025, through this poll, is that there was no swapping. There wasn't one group that thought that things were going to get better and the other one thought things were going to get worse. For the first time in 2025, no matter the political party, in all cases there was a negative downward outlook about the future, which is certainly not what you want. Now, why do I say that here? I say that here because throughout human history, there is one thing that has collectively moved humanity, and it is the passion and energy that arts commands of humanity. It's a way of expressing how to move people in a different direction. The arts, be it written arts, be it performative, be it paintings, theater, it is a new way of expressing language, of expressing pain and difficulty and hardship to move the spirit. And I think in this moment in time, where all of us are seeking a new way forward, to say, this just can't be what the future looks like, my fundamental and core belief is that it will be through the arts that people are able to express themselves, to rally a new vision for what the future will look like. It is arts that are the way forward. And so I say that as, of course, we are going to continue to invest in the arts, but more so, what I'd like to do is really extend a challenge to each and every one of you in this room. You are the converted. You are here because you understand the power of the arts. What I want to say to you today is that we need you now more than we ever have. We need your organizations, we need your investment, we need your time and passion and care, and frankly, most importantly, we need your love. Because this is a moment in time where you will be the force that helps us to change the world and make it a better place. So please know that we will do our part to provide the infrastructure, and what I am asking is that we need you. We need you now, and we need you more than ever. So thank you for your advocacy, for your tirelessly work. Thank you for your art, your commitment to humanity. I think, is Whitney Ward Birnbaum in the room here? Whitney? Going once, going twice. Charm Magazine, if you have not seen the Charm Lit Magazine in Baltimore City, she is the incredible founder of Charm. Please check it out. I wanted to give her a shout out today because it's just crazy. Giving young people a voice to both pain and happiness in ways that we have not seen. It is the exact model of what it takes to move young people into a different space. And so check out Charm is my little plug, is commercial here. Thank you all so much for being here. I can't wait to work on this with all of you together, and have a wonderful day, and we will see you throughout Annapolis. Enjoy the Monks for Peace today.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, his office is always like, please provide us with talking points. And I'm like, he's got it. Again, because we've heard from Comptroller Lehrman, President Ferguson, that like now is the time, right? We are needed continually. And I think the important part of that, right? We heard they'll give us the investment, right? And we provide what we provide, the love, the joy, the euphoria, the euphoric nature of our work, right? But that's important when lawmakers like, we love you, we're like, great. pay up, to be honest. It's brutal, but like for today, that's what we're about, frankly. So now we can advance. I do want to thank, we're so lucky to be here in St. John's. And I really want to mention that the staff here are so wonderful and so supportive. And I did want to welcome up their president, Susan Paulman, to give a few words of welcome.
Thank you. My name is Susan Paulman. I want to welcome you all to St. John's College. And it's my honor and pleasure to welcome you and Comptroller Learman and President Ferguson and our delegates, Embry and Smith, and any other legislators who happen to be in the audience. We're so happy to have you here. I also want to thank the City of Annapolis and the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County for their support of art on this campus, and for all our legislators for supporting St. John's College through the Selinger funding for student financial aid that helps attract and keep college students here in Maryland, or capital support for important building renovations. There are two that might be of interest to you all. One, which was recently done to Mellon Hall, where we're sitting. So our beautiful lobby out there was done in part through funding from the state. It is one of just a handful of famed architect Richard Neutra's designed buildings on the East Coast, so we're very proud of it. The other thing that might be of note is that we are currently up for funding from the state of Maryland to help support a new arts and academic building on campus, which would be our first academic building in decades to help support student art activities. So we're really excited about that. So I also want to just thank all of you. I'm a longtime resident of Annapolis. I see the effect of the arts in this city and how they've burgeoned over the last 10 to 15 years in particular. It's just been very exciting and very enriching for me and my family. I see it in our students at St. John's. So just thank you. Thank you for all that you do. In a St. John's College classroom, everyone is part of the conversation around the books we read and the questions that they raise. Through our Mitchell Art Museum, we expand the conversation to encompass the world of visual arts. Year-round, we offer a dynamic array of extraordinary art experiences, and I hope you all will stop by there and hope you all stop by frequently to see our exhibitions. Right now, we have Ken Friedman, 92 Events, which presents works spanning 6 decades by the Sweden-based, American-born Fluxus artist, Ken Friedman. It also includes interpretations of his works by Maryland-based cultural workers. In addition to the Mitchell, the college offers a variety of free events for the community, so I just want to invite you all to come for our Friday night lectures, our concerts, musical events, and also amazing performances by our King William Players, which is our main theater troupe. We have a lot of theater troupes on campus, but our main one is the King William Players. They're great. They have no faculty sponsor, it's them. Like, they do all the work, and they're really amazing. Later this semester, they'll be showcasing Othello and The Skin of Our Teeth. So please come join us and share in our community of ideas and learning, just as we all get to share in the vibrant arts community that you all help to make possible in Annapolis. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, President Paulman, and thank you to St. John's for hosting us. So I do want to welcome up, I feel so lucky to have a great, incredible board that supports the work of Maryland Citizens for the Arts. And with that said, I'd like to welcome up Chair of the Board, April Nyman, and Co-Chair of the Events Committee, Denise Gant, to say a few words of welcome.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Arts Day. Isn't it wonderful to be amongst so many arts supporters? It's just a joyous day, and we're so happy to see each other and have a wonderful day. It's already started out so great. So we're looking forward. And also, as I begin, I want to mention that I know we have a lot of student advocates here today, some from St. John's and many others. If you're here as a student advocate, wave your hand. Let us know you're here. You are our future to make sure the arts stay alive, and I hope you have a wonderful day and experience. Next, I'd like to recognize our wonderful Maryland Citizens Board. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are. We have a wonderful, wonderful board that's been supportive. They show up for meetings, they have great input, and make all these things happen. So I'd like to ask them to stand up for a round of applause. And finally, as everybody knows, if you've ever put on an event, it takes time, it takes perseverance, and this is an event. This is an event with lots of moving parts, and the staff and the events committee has pulled it off perfectly. I think today has been a stellar day, and I would like to recognize both the events committee and the staff. If you're around, or they're probably out working, at least stand up so we can say thank you. But the leader of this group, and who has been several years doing this, and that says something. Events are tough, but Denise Gant has taken the time to make sure that every event that we have comes off flawlessly. She is, her leadership is stellar, and she makes sure that things go to a new level. She is our champion and our rock. I'd like to now give a round of applause for Denise and ask her to come up to the podium.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, let me hear it one more time. I'm a theater person. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, April. It is really my pleasure to be a member of the board of Maryland Citizens for the Arts. Because, as everyone has said, the arts have the power to change, transform, and enhance our lives. I am the Director of Education at Lyric Baltimore, and I'm also a poet and a playwright. I said that for you, Carla Dupre. Thank you. So I'm here to also give a few thank yous. One, I want to thank, again, the events committee, my co-chair, Phil Davis, who also holds it down from Montgomery County, Prince George's County. Yeah, I blew it. That's okay, I'm a theater person, punt. I would like to thank the events committee, who has worked really hard and provided us with a lot of feedback for the event. And finally, but not last, I want to thank the volunteers who have brought their energy and work to this event, and to the incredible staff of Maryland Citizens for the Arts. I want to give a great shout of admiration to Amanda Morrell, Deputy Director. I do believe you heard from her many times logistically for this event, and it was all very helpful. And then also staff members Tracy Stevens and intern Hannah Cipriana. That's how she told me she pronounces her name. And of course to Nicholas Cohen, who is a wonderful and powerful leader. Thank you all, and let's get busy. We have work to do.
Thank you, April. Thank you, Denise. And again, I just personally would like to thank the MCA board. I appreciate your leadership, your guidance, and when I need it, keeping me in check. I appreciate it. All right, moving on. I think we're actually on time. I like this. So, why are we here, right? Well, we are here to support an incredible arts agency. Our education and advocacy today serve the work and dedication of the Maryland State Arts Council. As all of us arts advocates, we champion public investment in the arts in Maryland. And our friends and colleagues at the State Arts Council, they work tirelessly to empower arts communities, ensuring that funding is invested throughout Maryland. And I want to thank their executive director, Stephen Scarrett Davis, their board chair, Ruby Lopez Harper, and the wonderful state arts counselors, and especially their incredibly dedicated and hardworking staff. Let's give a round of applause for them. So I think, I forgot who said this, but someone mentioned, I think that the president said this, the past 15 years, we've seen this growth of the arts. There's a reason for that. Our advocacy has helped the State Arts Council's budget grow over the past 10 years. We have more than doubled our state's appropriation, to an anticipated $35 million coming up. So what does that mean? It means we consistently rank in the top 3 in per capita investment in the nation, right? Give yourselves an applause for that. Yeah. And we are the true envy of other states. They're like, what's your secret sauce? And I was like, come to this. This is the secret sauce. It's not us, it's not me, it's you all. And that's the dedication, because not every state has that. And not every state has an arts council like we have. And that growth, again, it's just part of this work that we do day in and day out outside of Arts Day. And then once that investment, we sort of change hands, right? We do this advocacy part, we shake down the lawmakers to get money, so to speak. And then what we do is we sort of extend our hand to the agency that we advocate for, right? To the State Arts Council. And then what they do from that investment, they provide grants to thousands of individual artists and arts organizations. And what they've done is make Maryland a model they're trying to duplicate this throughout the country for equitable investment in the arts. So I'd like to actually have the staff and the counselors stand and be recognized. And again, one more round of applause for them and the work they do. Please stand and Well, they're on a little group over there. I like it. Thank you all so much. And next, I've got coming up is a really beautiful video that I'll play about the State Arts Council.
Across Maryland, the arts find their place. Wherever we are, it lives alongside us, in our hands, in our histories, in our homes, and in the quiet moments before we know what comes next. We carry it through uncertainty, and when the world shifts, art shifts with us. It survives because we do. Across Maryland, artists show up every day. Whether they are teaching across generations, creating meaning through practice, or making space for connection. And over time, their steady dedication shapes the lives of Marylanders in every county across the state. Since 1967, the Maryland State Arts Council has invested in artists and communities, believing in the power of creativity to transform. With nearly $1 billion in economic impact and more than 1,000 grants given every year, we are proud to support the artists and organizations shaping a creative future for all. Learn more at msac.org.
All right, thank you. Yeah. And I think there was a first in that video. It's the first time I've seen a delegate's mother in a video. So if you were paying attention, I won't tell you who it was, but they were in there. This video was expertly produced by the awesome team at Wide Angle Youth Media. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah. And as a special treat coming up, not just yet, but coming up, we have their executive director as our keynote speaker. So hold steady for that. I do want to mention, again, all this work and all the things that MCA does, we can't do it without our partners. So I do want to recognize them. First, I'd like to recognize Maryland Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. They're dedicated, they're dedicated, give them a round of applause. They're dedicated to protecting Maryland's artists' legal rights through pro bono legal referrals and education. A big thanks to Adam and Aya, who are advocate leaders today. Thank you so much. Thanks to our advocacy partners in the Baltimore region, the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance. Big round of applause for them. Thank you all. And I also want to thank Arts Education Maryland Schools for their incredible arts advocacy education work. Arts education is so important. Let's give a round of applause for that. And I'm really proud this year. We're working with them. They're working on a bill, an important arts education bill that we're helping to promote. And you'll see, we'll talk about that in a bit, but we're happy to partner with them on that as well. And certainly last, but certainly not least, again, in Maryland, it's so special to have every county and Baltimore City represented by what I like to call boots on the ground, and that's our county arts agencies. They're just so helpful. They're in tune to their community. They provide investment directly to their folks, and it's just a wonderful model. Again, this idea of like, we have a state arts agency that then helps to fund local arts agencies, and then all of us benefit from that. And they are tireless workers, and I know they deal with me they get tons of emails from Amanda, tons of emails from me to make today possible. Like, we're gonna meet, in the next 2 hours, we will meet with 188 lawmakers between 55 groups, that many of whom have been organized with the CAN directors. So I'd like to ask all of the CAN directors and staff and board, if you're attached with it, please rise and give them a round of applause. Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, keep it going, that's right. And I mentioned the 55 groups. I do want to thank all the advocate leaders. I know many of you were deputized a couple days ago, and really that's what's so helpful. It's one of those things where, as you're all as arts lobbyists, it's impossible for me to meet with 188 lawmakers in 2 hours. It just doesn't happen. So that's where we can do this. We actually are able to do this in 2 hours because of the advocate leaders. So I'd ask them, could the advocate leaders please stand and be recognized for your part in this? Thank you all so much. Thank you again. So I want to now go on to the Sue Hess Arts Advocate of the Year Award winner. The Sue Hess Arts Advocate of the Year Award is named in honor of MCA's first chair of the Board of Trustees, its longest serving member, and the strongest and most dedicated champion of the arts we have had in Maryland. This award recognizes an individual whose advocacy efforts significantly increase support for the arts in Maryland. And I'd like to thank the nomination committee chaired by MCA trustee Albita Rivera and joined by board member Julie Madden and Washington County Arts Council Director Chris Brewer. And now, typically, Albita would introduce the winner. Unfortunately, she had a family emergency, so I'm more than honored to introduce our winner. Maria Broom is a Maria Broom is a treasured Baltimore artist whose career reflects more than 40 years of creative excellence, teaching, and community leadership. National audiences know her from HBO's The Wire and The Corner, but across Maryland, she is celebrated as a storyteller, dancer, mentor, and fierce advocate for the power of the arts. A Fulbright scholar and former journalist, Maria has shaped generations of young artists through her work at the Baltimore School for the Arts and through her mentoring program, Dance Girls of Baltimore, which uses creativity to build confidence, discipline, and possibility. Her contributions have earned more honors, including the Governor's Arts Award, the UB Blake Award, and recognized as Artist of the Year by young audiences of Maryland. Whether on stage, in classrooms, or in community spaces, Maria reminds us that the arts heal, connect, and transform, and that advocacy is an act of love. So, put your hands together and join me in celebrating the 2026 Sue Hess Arts Advocate of the Year, Maria Broom.
my cup runneth over. And it began running over 70 years ago when I was 6 years old. My mother took me to the Lyric Opera House. That's what it was called then. She took me to see the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. It was one of the last of the big, grand European ballet productions. We got the cheapest seats, sat on the front row. You could barely see the people's feet. But I saw them. That was it. Those are my people. I belong on a stage, dancing, acting, whatever. And I knew, and my whole life since then has been about that. Try to become an Alvin Ailey dancer. That was my goal. That didn't happen. I took one of his classes. I said, girl, you are never going to be an Alvin Ailey dancer. You will always admire them and support them, but that's not you. So I wondered, well, what was me? So I wound up in the master's program of dance therapy at Goucher, one of the few schools in the country that was even thinking about and offering courses of using dance and visual arts as healing tools. And then one of the things I really got into was indigenous cultures around the world, European, African, South American, Eastern Asian, all of these cultures used all of the things that we call the arts. They use them as a part of their life. It's what they do. It's how they live. I got to live. Please forgive me. I have been under the weather for the past 3 or 4 weeks. What a gift to find out I got this award. So I had to get myself together to at least get here, but I sound a little, Thank you. I got to live in Uganda for a minute, in the bush, not on tour. There was so much drumming and dancing, and the little children watched, and the teenagers started to learn. And it was something everybody did, and then the elders got up, and they showed them really how to do it. But it made me know dancing, singing, painting, drawing, writing, play acting, all of those things are what we do as humans. It's what we do. It's what nourishes us. It is an automatic part of who we are. When for some reason, they took one of the wheels off the cart that supports children in schools. The 4 wheels were reading, writing, arithmetic, and the arts, what we call the arts. And it made the cart run smoothly. But most of the children came because of the arts. They got to draw. They got to paint. I got to play the auto harp. Who plays the auto harp in the 4th grade? Children playing, what is it? Doo, 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 doo. The recorder. So much painting, so much writing. Glee club, all these things were just a part of school. That's part of why my cup runneth over. And then for some reason, they said, okay, we got to chop some things off. We got to save money. We got to reconfigure school. Let's take off one of the wheels, the wheel of art. And it made the cart run uneven. Children need, just like they did in indigenous cultures, children need to be around creative activity all the time. All the time. So they took the arts kind of out of the curriculum. Thankfully, organizations like Young Audiences of Maryland, who I happen to be on their roster for 20 years, they are now Arts for Learning. And in places like Arts Every Day and so many other institutions or organizations that are sending artists into the schools are helping to bring some of that back. But it's not the same. Children need to be around creative. They need to see it. They need to experience it. They need to go to the opera house at 6 years old and see something that calls to them. They need to hear music that calls to them. What a pleasure it was to create and host the Music Box series for the BSO, which was for tiny children. I mean, tiny children and their parents. So wonderful. And now, coming full circle, back to the lyric, to be one of their guest teaching artists to go to a school, community school, and pass on what I know and what I've done. And I am running out of breath. Thank you. Just thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you. What's that? No, you're perfect. Yeah, thank you. Oh, here. Thank you, Maria, so much. And just a quick note, in another life, when I used to work at the Baltimore Symphony, I remember the first time I met Maria was actually when Music Box got started. To see her interaction with like 6-month-olds and how they would light up, it's one of those seminal moments for myself that just was like, this is incredible. So kind of a life moment there too for me, and that's very meaningful. So again, Maria, thank you so much. It's so well deserved. One more round of applause. So it is my honor to introduce this year's keynote speaker, Sue Malone. Round of applause. There'll be many more. This has been a difficult year for all of us, marked by national tragedies, the sudden renaming of cultural institutions, potential closures and funding cuts, and executive actions that often feel out of step with the human-centered values at the heart of our work. In moments like these, it is essential to look to leaders who embody strategy, courage, and determination in the face of real challenges. This is exactly the kind of leader that MCA wanted to highlight for this year's keynote. I've had the privilege of knowing Sue and Wide Angle Youth Media for more than a decade. Over the years, MCA has partnered with them on projects, videos, and advocacy efforts, and I've always admired the critical work they do, empowering young people to find their voice through creativity while never losing sight of their core mission and values. As you'll hear today, the commitment is stronger than ever. So with that, please join me in welcoming this year's keynote speaker, Sue Malone.
Well, Maria Broom's a really hard act to follow, y'all. But I got to work with her back in the day. I worked on this Wire episode where the Wire and Law and Order came together, and I got to see her on stage, and it was amazing. So when Nicholas asked me to join today, he told me that he would greet me on stage, and I said, can I have a WWF belt when I get up there? Because 20 minutes feels like a marathon, so you're going to learn a little bit about me, you're going to learn a little bit about what I do, and hopefully at the end you'll leave a little bit inspired. So we're here today, right, to celebrate Arts Advocacy Day and to remind us why we are fighting and what we are celebrating. And as I was kind of preparing and thinking about what to say, my colleagues were saying, oh, you should start with an image, like that art image, the image of society, something really vital. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I have an image in my head. And it is this picture of my dad, and I love my dad. He made sure that we really could do whatever we wanted to do in our life, and he instilled these values of caring for others in a way that was really showing up for people and taking care of them. But now he's in his 80s, and my dad is a little older. He doesn't move around as much. And this image, I can't get it out of my head, right? So my uncreative brother, who I adore and is sarcastically the most funny person you've ever met, found Gemini, right? So I just get text messages, my dog is a transformer, and then this, my dad doing a backflip. And I show it to my mom, and she's like, what? And everyone's kind of thinking about this moment of my dad doing a backflip for the first time ever. But we all know, right, in the rise of AI, that maybe this image, as much as I want my dad to do a backflip for me, probably not a reality, right? And so at the Super Bowl, we saw the first mainly AI-generated Super Bowl ad with bots dancing. We've made ourselves into action figures in plastic packaging. We've set ourselves to look like we were in the 90s in a yearbook, right, with some cool accessories on us. We've seen AI-generated content that's showing us with cheetahs staring down and lions giving us their baby cubs. But why does it work, right? It pulls on this emotional place, and it drives you into these aesthetics that are smooth lighting and central focuses. But it starts to deceive audiences into thinking and rethinking our relationship with wildlife. But AI is the latest tool for artists. And like every tool that came before it, it can be used in powerful and generative ways or ways that raise concerns. It brings urgent questions to the forefront. In the art world, we have to think about copyright and ownership, authorship, attribution. We have to think about the environmental impact, the labor, the equity. But ultimately, it has the power both to expand creative possibility and deepen polarization. So I think back to the time when I started editing. Any editors in the room? All right, that's actually more than I thought. So when I was editing, we had Super 8 film, and we sliced it, and we taped it with like Scotch tape, and it was really hard, and to make this would have been really difficult when we were using Super 8. But as artists, we really understand, right? We know when something isn't feeling real, because the arts ground us. They teach us to observe, they remind us that we are imperfect, and that imperfection is part of being human. Whether we are using a brush or a camera, we bring perspective. And as artists, our role is to interpret the world, create narratives around the moment we are living. But as we revisit how art is now being made, and who makes it, and who's sharing it, alongside the rise of AI, we face new questions. What happens when something feels just too perfect? When the sound doesn't match the space, or the character behaves in ways that breaks the rules of nature, backflip. A lion handing over its cub, cute. We are reminded that discernment is part of the creative act, and that we must not only tell stories, but we have to learn how to question what is being made. So we're gonna go back in time, right? Horrifying images of me, not made in AI, I swear. I grew up, and in 7th grade, a bunch of stuff happened for me. Obviously a white leader working in communities of color now, but at that time, I was a white Jewish girl in middle of Malvern, Pennsylvania on the main line. And my teacher, Mr. Blue, he was amazing, he handed me a camera, Pentax K1000. And the first thing we had to do, which you never want to do in middle school, is turn the camera on yourself. Because the first thing you have to do when you're learning how to see is how to see how you are showing up in the world. And as a very shy middle schooler, turning the camera on myself was terrifying. But I did, and I developed it in the dark room with chemicals, and I loved it. And that was this moment by this talented teacher that gave me this camera as a vehicle. So the second thing that happened in middle school, and if anyone's Jewish in the room, you know you're preparing for your bat mitzvah, which takes years and years and years and years and years. And I'm learning Hebrew, which I cannot speak a word of now, except like ani rotza glida, which basically means I want ice cream. And so I'm learning how to do a 5-page Haftorah, which is massively long, even for most Jews. And I got laryngitis all the time. My vocal cords were banging together like that, and I had to go to speech therapists. So then all of a sudden, this camera became the voice. And it was my voice when I was voiceless. And that's the power really of arts, right? Whether you're in middle school or whatever it is that you found. So if you found music in middle school, Nicholas, I know that you're gonna be clapping. Who found music? Dance, theater, visual arts, cameras, mediums, right? This power that Maria was talking about is what grounds us in making the work we do now and why we actually showed up to go to school in the first place. So we fast forward to high school, me with a camera, and I get there, and I went from middle school with all this access to no access. There was no dark room. I was like, what do you mean there's no dark room? So I also started to understand that we can organize, we can advocate, we can raise money, and we can make what we want happen. And so I got our first person darkroom in our school. I was in a closet, and we mixed chemicals in buckets. And when I left high school, we had raised enough money for a 9-station darkroom. And that's when I kind of realized that maybe there's something to philanthropy. And ultimately, all of those skills and all of those talents brought me to Baltimore. So for all of my art teachers in middle school and high school, Mr. Sutton in high school, who really equipped me with the passion and the skills, I am thinking right now there's a ton of art educators out here in the audience. So on behalf of me and all of the once and future artists that are out there and all the students that you're going to serve, let me thank you for changing their life. So another thing, if you don't know, if you go to art school, you get to wear a beret, so you don't get the whole tassel thing. So I graduated from MICA with a photo degree. I was not prepared for a job at all at that time. I was like, what am I gonna do? So I worked in movies, I worked on a football film, I went to the BMA and I helped organize prints. My first job was at Maryland Art Place, but I kept looking and trying to navigate this very complex place. And that kind of just left me really exhausted and really understanding why am I doing this work. So I joined Wide Angle in 2003. And I was really finding a place where I could center education and media making and civic engagement all in one place. And we were amplifying voices and stories of young people. And I understand I could leverage my love of making and that I found in middle school and my talent for fundraising that I found in high school, and then I could find a place that I could call home. So stand up or wave your hands if you fell in love with the arts as a child. That's pretty good. Were you inspired by a teacher? Do you make art to express or heal? And then, do you teach others to make art? In this room, we have solo artists, leaders of arts organizations, advocates who power for the arts. We have people living and working in urban cities, suburban towns, and rural communities. And we are new, and we are seasoned, we are visual, and we are performing. But what unites us is how we stand up for the arts and what is actually real. So, this is a whole bunch of stuff that I was supposed to do, and my team's probably very angry with me for not doing that. But this is Wide Angle. You're going to hear a little bit about what we do, but really what I'm trying to say is whatever your work is, however you find your path in this world, this community is embracing all of us. And we are here to do really incredible things on the stage and behind the camera and with our paintbrushes and with our feet as we dance across the stage. So I get to be an amazing ED of this amazing organization, and the only reason I can do it is because I have a team of people and young people who pour in and share what they want so I can elevate and raise all of the great work that happens every day. And we really believe that media and making media is the skill that you need to have, like reading and writing a language. You read and write media every day in everything you do with your phones, with your computers, and how you show up every single day. And we turned 25, which I'm kind of proud of, and we've served a lot of young people, we've made a lot of stuff, and a lot of people have seen it. But now it's more important than ever because throughout history, authoritarian regimes have attempted to censor art endeavors in favor of propaganda. And again, why is that? Because the arts don't lie. And in times of censorship and repression, the arts help us see what is really, truly happening. They give voice to the silenced, they reveal inequity, they spark change. And what do you think is happening right before our very eyes? I think about my camera, my chosen tool, being used to document injustice in the streets. I think about public art being taken down, books being banned, funding for museums and cultural institutions being stripped away, and history literally being rewritten in front of us. But art is real, and it is truth, and when people fear the truth, they censor art. And we saw that, right, in 2025. We saw one of our most gifted artists coming out of our city get censored at the National Portrait Gallery. And when that happened, she didn't pack up her paintbrush and go home. We welcomed her back, and the Baltimore Museum of Art showed her work. And why was it so successful in Baltimore? Because the arts foster empathy. They preserve cultural heritage. They catalyze social change. And they act as a vital record of our human experience. Amy Sherald inspires all of us with her brush, with her words, with her actions. And the arts are essential for us understanding each other in democracy, and people feel very deeply, and people need the art to make sense of the world we are living in right now. So if you go behind the lens and you start looking at what's really going on, you will understand the power that you really have. And whether you're making something for the first time or the 100th time, the arts bring all of these amazing skills with it, right? Whether you're learning how to be a young person working in project-based learning for the first time, you're getting on stage. The first time I ever did it, I trembled and shook like a leaf. I still don't really like it. But these skills come from a place where we feel safety, and we have safety in making. And at Wide Angle, we work with age 10 to all the way through 26, and we do that because we recognize that you might be given an opportunity to find arts in your community or in your school, or you might have a job in the summer that exposes you to the arts, but you also might not experience it until you are on your career pathway and you realize, I wish I had an opportunity. So we are here to help young people navigate that pathway into education and career so they can tell the stories of our communities. So our interns in our older programs that you saw the video, did you like the Arts Day video earlier today? They work with our professional staff to tell stories of our clients like the State Arts Council. We've been honored to tell story of the U.S. Soccer Foundation and Urban Arts. If you're a World Cup fan, you're gonna see the commercial on the left air on NBC during the World Cup, which is pretty exciting. But sometimes it's hard for me to talk about what we do, and it's easier for me to show what we do. So here's Wide Angle in less than a minute.
What can I do with a camera?
What can you do with a camera?
With a camera, I can celebrate my city.
I can bring my ideas to life.
I can create my own stories.
Cut. I can build my career. At Wide Angle Youth Media, we're using filmmaking, photography, and design to uplift the next generation of media makers. Each year, hundreds of students in our program gain creative, academic, and professional skills while working with state-of-the-art tools and technology. They collaborate, step into leadership roles, and produce work that is viewed by millions of audience members. The projects they create challenge them to think critically, speak out on issues that matter, and most importantly, see themselves as professionals. Wide Angle Youth Media. Make media make an impact.
So my team hates getting called out, but Sydney and Cam, can you stand up because you are such an integral part of this work, and Matt. I have other folks here too in the room, so if you're a wide angler, go like this. So I think back to that time in the dark room. I was always late to class because I just kept staying in there. And I was documenting moments and memories that led me to today. And I think about our apprentices and interns and journey workers and staff who are telling stories and uplifting amazing things around the world. And they're not only clicking a shutter, they're developing an image that reflects the world. And it also starts telling you a little bit about their goals and their dreams and their plans. And they are writing and they're designing and they're collaborating. So what can you do with your camera today? The camera is my tool. Movement and acting are Maria's tools. Nicholas, believe it or not, picks up his contrabassoon. It's really heavy. Amy Sherrill picks up that paintbrush. But what is it for you? Is it your instrument or your voice, your art practice, or your work as an arts leader? And how will your chosen medium help you frame the world you want to live in? So, we know that access to the arts impact achievement academically. We know it helps your mental and physical health. We know that it can help you build skills and grow and graduate and move on into higher education or into careers and pay taxes to the comptroller. But we pride ourselves on making sure that pathway is for real and supporting clients in a real way. And we have the honor lately of telling the stories of the State Arts Council. And it is a gift to be able to have the trust that someone is in front of our camera and gives us the blessing of telling their story. And these stories are on the Maryland State Arts Council YouTube page, and they vary from African hand drumming to Chinese paper making to African birth work, and they're stunning. They're stunning, but it's a testament to the arts and the work that the State Arts Council is doing. And so now, I want you to clap if you think our state should invest in the arts. I want you to put up your left hand, if you can remember which one that is, and tell me if you've received funding from the State Arts Council. Has the State Arts Council, now with your right hand, has the State Arts Council funding helped you leverage other dollars? Because that's exactly what it should do, right? It should be the roots and the anchor. It should be the belief in what we are doing, and it should help us make sure others can see the impact. And everyone's talking about numbers today, so I'm not going to overwhelm you. You can read them if you want to. The slides will be shared after, I'm sure. But it's the State Arts Council is doing so much work with the work that with the resources they are giving. And the state has entered this budget cycle where we have a $1.4 billion deficit. And everyone is going to say to you, why art? And because of Maryland State Arts Council's support of the arts community and the tireless advocacy of the Maryland Citizens for the Arts, we have room to hope, and our thriving arts community will continue to be real and grow. And our governor proposed a budget that actually increases the support that the state sees by $600,000. He's making sure that our buildings, our historic art spaces are invested and that we have the capital resources to continue doing this work. And overall, it's a 2% increase, right, in the budget that the State Arts Council saw last year. And that is a huge win. So while we are grateful to the governor's office for supporting arts during this time when federal funding has been decimated and philanthropy is often focused in other places, the State Arts Council funding continues to grow under the Moore administration. And our work in moving that forward through legislation today is so incredibly critical. The governor's budget cuts across the board. Other entities will come forward and begin to ask, please restore our funding. And they will have their advocacy days like we are, and we must ensure that the State Arts Council funds remain, even as lawmakers weigh how to backfill other important areas. So today we have data, we have stories, and we can make a case to make it powerful. Beyond things like saving truth and democracy, our economic impact of the arts is real, and the impact of that is real. So today, this is the end of it all, right? Like, you're gonna go talk to people. And some people love that, and some people don't like it. But your voice is real, your vote is real, and this is how you make the most of today. Legislators are often asked to make false choices between must-haves and nice-to-haves. The arts can often seem as superfluous and extra, a luxury. But our job is that everyone we talk to today must see it our way. The arts are a powerful tool in healthcare. There is nothing that improves mental health more than dancing. We know that playing a guitar or the drums will ease the symptoms of Parkinson's. We know that architects and engineers who solve our infrastructure problems started by drawing in art class. And we know that students learn best when the arts are in their education. So everybody here today has a thread, and our thread is that the arts fueled our career and how we got here. So we want our legislators to hear and our constituents to hear your story about impacts. So tap into your why. You won't have a lot of time with them, but as you prepare your one sentence of why, make sure you are sharing the basic need of the arts. And then do what no one else does. Follow up afterwards. This is about relationship building. It's about networking here today with your peers. It's about networking with your legislators, your delegates, your senators, your congressmen. Every single time telling them about the impact of this work, and it's a long-standing relationship. And then the next thing you do is you tell everyone in your community. There is a budget deficit, and not everyone will leave this budget season whole. So while we enter the conversation with hope, we still need every advocate and constituent to show up, to send a letter, to tell their story, and to keep the inspiration and momentum from today. So now, remember I talked about that whole middle school thing and cameras and all that stuff. I'm going to ask you to get out your phone, because I know you have one. It could be like my husband's phone, who I love very much, but isn't very good. So we're going to take out our phones, and we're all going to take selfies so that we can say we were here. Come on, let me see your, I want to see some selfies. Go out there with your voice, keep making great things, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you so much. And thank you, Wide Angle Youth Media. You've heard the talking points. You're basically ready. We've got some budget realities for you. I want to welcome up our Vice Chair, Marva Jo Camp of Maryland Citizens for the Arts. Please welcome her up.
Good morning. Is it still morning? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting?
You.
Okay. So, although I know Nicholas hates when I do this, I always take my point of personal privilege. The first is to say thank you to each one of you. We talk about how other states are jealous of us, but I have been for most of my career a lobbyist, and I tell everybody that this has to be the strongest advocacy group that I ever dealt with. You come to it with such passion and commitment, and it makes a difference. So I also, because everybody else acknowledged, I wanted to say that our board, our staff, Nicholas is phenomenal. But if it's okay, I wanted to again recognize the chair of our board. She has, and she's going to kill me for this, been through it, but she keeps coming and she keeps working. And I want April to stand up and be acknowledged. Okay, so, and lastly, before I say this, the word impact really hit me. And our Sue Hess Award winner makes impact. Our speaker makes impact. You all make impact. And so I'm just so happy that we've been able to do what we've done today. Oh, okay. Thought I was loud. But we'll keep going. She said a lot of the things that I would say, so bear with me for repeating. So first I want to go over the governor's proposed FY27 arts budget. First, our FY27 general fund, and remember all this because you're going to have to share this with our legislators. Okay, $29.68 million. Our special fund transfer is $1 million. Our national endowment for the arts is $886,311, and you know we've heard so much about them cutting NEA, so we're very blessed to be able to still have NEA funding. And then our Maryland Arts and Education Fund is $300,000 for a total, and hear this word, proposed budget is $31.8 million. That's on the operating side. The governor's proposed FY27 arts capital budget. We now have and have tried for a long time a dedicated fund from the state's capital budget, which is separate from the operating budget. Governor Moore, who is a big proponent of the arts, as is our First Lady, has requested $3 million to fund the Arts and Culture Capital Grant Program. This will be the 4th year of the program.
Thank you, Marva Jo. I also want to point out we've got, as I mentioned, 2 bills that we're working on. The first one, as Delegate Embry mentioned, is a public artist rights. You all have these nice little flyers in your program books. So the details about the bill are on here. You don't have to memorize it, I promise. But House Bill 41 and House Bill 387, both have already had hearings. So it's really important. A lot of lawmakers you'll speak today, these are going to go up for votes in the next few weeks. So it's really important to tell them to vote yes on this bill. I want to go to the next one as well. Working with Ames, as I mentioned, we have a bill to help promote the use of anti-poverty grants for arts education. In short, this is currently happening, but the use of this grant for arts education is sunsetting after the next school year. So the beauty of this bill is it just extends that permanently. There's no fiscal note, so no added budget to it. It's just to make it part of this program. Because as we heard from Maria Broom, right, that's critical, that everyone has access to the arts. And that's on the other side, you'll see this bill, House Bill 289 and House Bill 352, and I believe both have also had hearings as well. All right, back to talking points. Over to you, Marva Jo.
Okay, thank you. And for the talking points, before I go through the specifics, one of the things that I always like to say, we want them to see us, we want to tell our story, but we also want you to see them. And what I mean by that is that every year I'll go to different legislators, and I have this spiel that I always give. My mother was a teacher, my father oversaw developmentally disabled. So that's what matters to me, and I share. But sometimes I'll say economic development, sometimes I'll say capital investment, and something in their eyes goes off. And I know I've got them. And so be real careful about looking at the legislator and see what matters to them and what you can connect with them on the arts. And last year we had some people in our group who were kind of shy at the beginning. But by the time we got to that last person, I mean, they were rah-rah and moving it, and it was because they knew that this was a deeply personal interaction. So just have fun when you go out there. It's nothing stressful, even though it might seem it. So our top talking points for lawmakers. 1, make sure you say, please support fully funding MSAC at $31.8 million. Please support fully funding the Arts and Culture Capital Grant program at $3 million from the capital budget. Vote yes on SB 41 and HB 387, a bill to strengthen public artists' rights, and vote yes on SB 289 and HB 352, a bill to extend arts education anti-poverty grants. You also want to let them know the Arts Stabilization Act is safe. Our efforts have paid off. You worked hard. That's right. And the governor's budget proposal increases MSAC budget by $600,000, a 2% increase. This is important because there are a lot of important issues that face these legislators. We heard about the gap in funding, and people are going to say, why them and not us? So you have to be very, very specific in saying thank you that they saw it, that the arts make that much of a difference in our state that they wanted to increase. Oh, that's what that says. Maryland is facing a significant budget deficit, and they've received cuts. So again, we want to be very, very thankful for our money. And it is critical that we show appreciation for this proposed budget and demonstrate how important it is for all of us. And as we give those, when we leave, just make sure you say thank you, and we look forward to working with you and then following up after you leave.
Thank you so much, Marva Jo. A few more talking points. I think we've heard, I mean, what's great is a lot of the people before me have mentioned these talking points. These are things to take with you when you're speaking in front of lawmakers, the $1.2 billion economic impact output. The big one is job creation, so 8,686 jobs, 256 million in total salaries. Those are big numbers. One other one to really focus on is the 6 million in yearly attendance across in-person and virtual. It's a great, great piece to use. And of course, like, think about other pieces outside of the economic impact. That's really, really important. And when we're thinking about that, with the State Arts Council, right, they provide access to the arts and improve our quality of life. They make the arts accessible to all. And important programmatically, they invest strategically to sustain and grow our sector. They distribute taxpayer money equitably into all corners of the state. That's very important. And they're accessible, inclusive, and transparent. The transparency is really important, especially now when people are calling into question government funding, but we know the State Arts Council is very transparent with where their dollars and cents go. And look, we all need the arts now more than ever. We've heard that a ton today. It's true. And look, an increasing number of artists and organizations are turning to the State Arts Council for support. But in the end, supply isn't meeting demand. So we have to let them know we appreciate the number, but there's simply not enough to go around. So we have to continue to grow the State Arts Council. So I did want to mention you have talking points. This is your bookmark. If you forget everything we just mentioned, everything is here. You can really just read it. It'll be there for you. Lawmakers also get this, so don't worry too much about that. Instead, worry about your personal stories. They want to hear from you in that 30-second elevator speech you're going to give. And just remind them that the funding is so critical to our work. Be short and succinct, and make sure everyone in your group has a chance to shine. I do want to mention really quick, save the date, Maryland Arts Summit, Prince George's County Community College. If you haven't been to this yet, I don't know what's taking you so long. We're in our 7th year. Please show up. It's amazing. If you want to give a proposal, call for proposals open March 2nd. Stay tuned for MCA. We'll get that messaging out shortly. Really big thanks to our supporters making today possible and accessible. William G. Baker Jr. Memorial Fund, Whiting Turner, the County Arts Agencies of Maryland, thank you so much, and Julie St. Marie Catering. A huge thank you to Maryland Hall, Jackie Coleman and her staff for hosting us for parking and also lunch after our legislative visits. Huge thanks to the Maryland Citizens of the Arts team. Please show your appreciation on the way out to Amanda, Tracy, and Hannah. They work so hard, and I would not be able to do any of this without them. They are an amazing team, and they're so organized, and I thank them for that. And also to all the volunteers, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? Let's go meet some lawmakers. What do you say? Good? All right. You've all been assigned an advocate leader, and hopefully emails have been going out, so you should hopefully have a sense who is in your group. But if not, on your name tag, there's a letter and a group number on the bottom. Pay attention to the number, and you'll see why. Each group will visit lawmaker offices. It's all scheduled for you. Advocate leaders, please make sure that someone hits the talking points, and then leave behinds. You'll all have packets for those lawmakers. It's labeled. Just make sure that gets left with them. You will meet with a lot of lawmakers. You'll also meet with a lot of legislative staff. Both are equally as important. Treat the staff like you would a lawmaker. And don't be discouraged. Lawmakers are busy. Please, when we call you in your county or region, please exit quickly and keep talking to a minimum because we want to move you out as quickly as we can. Okay, so here's how this is going to go. Advocate leaders, when you hear your delegation, your county called, please exit the room and head to the advocate leader table where you got your registration over there. Only the advocate leaders go that way. Everybody else in that county, you will see a designated table with a number on it that corresponds to the number on your name tag. So people that are not advocate leaders, find your number. It's a big green, it's green like this and it has your number on it. So head towards there. Advocate leaders will meet you and then away you go. Okay? Clear? Great.